So, on what kind of judgment can you make based upon that?
Well, I think that leads right into the question that Nathan asked, because he asked, what are the two largest true Orthodox jurisdictions and why are they separated? What's an obstacle to their union? Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack there. The first thing is that, first off, most of the jurisdiction of the two largest GOC communions are overlapping, which means that you're going to be talking about even discussions would be happening on a multinational scale. The other thing I want to mention, and I know it sounds counter to my own position, is that frankly, size should not matter. And I mean that because the simple reality is, if we look at like the Matthewites, for example, they're not in communion with anybody, but we're not going to say that they're not Orthodox. Well, maybe like the Kirikites because they have some wacky views. But the point is that the regular Matthewites, by and large, are not. They don't trust us, and so therefore we're not in communion with them. And their attitude would be very similar to what you see in the Meledian Schism, where they would say, well, you need to be reordained. And we could say the same thing back, and everyone can say the same thing back to each other. But the point is, it's not about, who's most right. As you pointed out, Vladika, really, I hate to say it, but it's really an argument over who's worse. And I think we generally accept. I like to say that we're the worst and we're the last chance you have to be Orthodox. But in any case, the point is that really you're not going to find. There's no ideal situation, and the most ideal situation is that you find a church that you're near, which is truer for most people than it was 20 years ago, but doesn't necessarily mean it's true now. And just keep working towards building your own faith. In your own life, and trying to attend and commune and follow the fasts, etc. I mean, the point is, we still have to do what we're supposed to do, but it would, we can make the biggest argument. It's kind of a silly argument because we're smaller in Greece than, say, if you want to talk, the two biggest jurisdictional communions would be ours, which would be the GOC under Metropolitan Angelos of Avlona, Metropolitan Seraphim of Moscow, Metropolitan John of New York, and all their attendant bishops in other countries, and then the GOC under Archbishop Kallinikos of Athens, the Russian Church abroad under Metropolitan Agafangel, and the TOCs of Bulgaria and Romania, which are in communion with each other as well. However, we have parishes in Bulgaria and Romania. Now, they're bigger over there in Bulgaria and Romania. We're bigger in Russia. No, we have parishes in the Philippines. The point is, there's so much overlap going on that the question of who's bigger is not probably the best argument, especially since there are lots of true Orthodox who aren't in communion with anybody, and they're good people. We're not going to sit there and condemn them because they're trying to do the best that they can. And so that's, it's a confusing situation. And that's the sort of situation we live in. But, I can say, and I've said it many times over this show, if you think it's bad now, you should have seen us 20 years ago.
Well, let's go on. Other situations are going to happen. In Russia, of course, there's the Father Sergius Romanov, who is a Moscow Patriarch. I think is an abbot of a monastery there in the Urals or something.
Yeah.
And the police are surrounding it, and he's got the Cossack militia there, and they don't know what's going to happen. Because remember, in Russia, in the Moscow Patriarchate, there's actually been this continuous low-key movement that's not reported outside of Russian religious news, where people are really upset, even in the Moscow Patriarchate, about closing down churches for the coronavirus stuff. And it's gotten to the point where many of them basically are non-commemorator. This Father Sergius Romanov has declared himself a non-commemorator. Now,